Good morning, everybody. Another amazing day at the farm today. So we had our first threat of frost last night. It got cold. It was real cold. It got down to 38 degrees last night. And so we had to put on some frost cover. And I wanted to kind of show you guys what we were doing with the frost cover, because a lot of you asked what we're going to be doing, if we're going to be doing frost cover, how we prepare. And I thought you guys might be able to learn something through kind of showing you guys what we're doing. I thought you guys might be able to learn some stuff you can implement in your garden, because we've been using frost cover now for about 2-3 years, and I absolutely love it. It's certainly a resource that I would not want to live without now that I've used it, because it's made quite a difference. So we did in fact end up getting a frost last night. As I was walking over, I was really hoping, I knew 38, said it was 38, but with the Weather Channel, I often find that they, for some reason, in the summertime, they like to underestimate how warm it's going to be, and in the winter, they like to overestimate how warm it's going to be. We absolutely got a frost last night, which, I mean, it's October 13th, so it's not like it wasn't predicted, but dang, it stinks because we didn't have enough frost cover to cover everything. We had to pick a few things. We just prioritized. We kind of triaged the seed plots because we knew that these nasturtiums were getting really close to putting some seed on. And so we absolutely lost some center rows here, you can see. And I guess this is it's a good learning experience for all of you, though. There is some silver lining to this, because we put on some frost cover, and I want to talk about this frost cover because it's absolutely amazing. It is something that every gardener should have at their disposal. Long gone are the days of putting on bed sheets over top of my plants. This stuff right here is the real deal. It is absolutely amazing, and undeniably it has saved our crops. So I'm gonna pull this up. We're gonna roll it off because we don't want it on throughout the day. We want to let the plants breathe a little bit. So I'm gonna unpin it, and then we can actually talk about this frost cover, because I think this stuff is this stuff's the bee's knees. So it is quite obvious the plants that got the frost cover versus the plants that did not, and it is so incredible the difference that this stuff makes. Now, the reason why I've basically switched over entirely to frost blanket versus other forms of frost protection is simply because of the ease of use. Yeah, there's a lot of farms out there that will advocate for using like a low tunnel, which is like a caterpillar tunnel basically. It's got some hoops, and then they drape it over top. However, it's a lot of infrastructure that I don't really want to have to invest in, and I also don't want to necessarily have to worry about, putting it in and taking it out and all that. I'd rather just take it. We literally just throw some landscape spikes, landscape staples in to hold it in about every 5-10 feet or so, and we just run it along. We just basically run it along here. And when I peel this back, you're gonna see just how this is quite a journey through here. There we go. Stuff's dense. All right. So when I peel this back, you're gonna see just how much of a difference this made. Now, nasturtiums are not cold tolerant. They're cold tolerant, but they're not frost tolerant, I should say. So when we get a frost, their tender leaves will immediately show you that they did not like a frost, as indicated by all the frost burn. So we were able to kind of cover about 2 rows of nasturtiums. And I also want to make sure that, because the bumblebees are out, I want to make sure that I'm not wrapping up any bumblebees. But look at this. Look at the difference. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, this stuff is soaking wet, by the way, from how heavy the dew was. Oh my gosh. It is just saturated. This is going to take a week to dry out. But our nasturtiums are protected, and it was easy to put on. I mean, it only took 5 minutes to throw it over. It was quick and easy. So what is frost blanket? Sometimes woven nylon, sometimes it's woven kind of like plastic fibers. So it's a polymer that is woven, but it's, as you can see, I mean, it's also kind of absorbent. It's a very interesting, very, very interesting fabric. I can't quite tell you exactly what it is. I know it's some type of like woven polymer, kind of like nylon or something like that, but it is semi-absorbent because it obviously holds on to water like crazy. Like I said, this will take a week for this to dry out. Look at that. If you can see the water pour, that's remarkable. That's just from dew and frost. And the plant's respiring underneath it. Just traps all that. And that's another thing that frost fabric does, is it's like woven so that it actually traps. And it traps that heat. And what's great about this frost blanket, this frost fabric, is it can protect up to 6 degrees. So if it was to get down to 32 degrees, underneath the blanket, it's like 38 degrees. So it's really great stuff. And for the cost of it, it's worth its weight in gold. So the reason why we're trying to save these nasturtiums is because they're just at the very tail end of flowering, and it won't be long before they're producing seed pods. Many of the seed pods have already formed on these plants, and we are trying to save them for all of you. Now, nasturtiums produce these really super cool little grenade-like seed pods that they fall off the plant the moment you look at them wrong. And so at the slightest frost, they will completely fall off the plant, land on the tarp below it. So it's going to be a really interesting time collecting these seeds, but that's why we're trying to save them so that they can dry on the plant. Ideally, we want them to dry on the plant, not fall off, because they actually fall off the plant when it gets cold. So the frost has made all these rows essentially drop their seed pods really quickly, because that's how they fall to the ground and prepare to sprout for next year. And so we've got all these huge seed pods that are now falling off the plant. And so we're not really concerned at keeping our nasturtiums alive. More or less, we're concerned about keeping them on the plant so that we can harvest the whole plant, dry the seed pods on the plant, and then pull them off manually, rather than have to like take a vacuum cleaner and vacuum up the plastic. This is going to be a chore and a half, because the plants are basically done for the season. I mean, any flowers that are here for the honeybees and the bumblebees and just the pollinators, which is wonderful, but we're not going to get any seed pods off of those. We're really looking at preserving the seed pods that are already here and keeping them from falling on the ground. So that's what we are doing with the nasturtiums. And I gotta say, I'm really excited. I think we're gonna get a good haul this year, despite a pretty late start on our nasturtiums. We also threw some frost cover over top of this lime basil for the same reason as the nasturtiums. They're done flowering. I just didn't want the plants to die prematurely, because we want to finish the seed ripening process. The seeds on these lime basil are basically done. About another week for us to be able to pull the seed off the plant. And so we want them to continue to dry, and that can only happen if the plant doesn't fully die. Otherwise, we'll have a bunch of immature seed. It's no different than harvesting a green tomato. Green tomatoes can ripen to red on your countertop for sure, but the seed inside is not fully mature. So we're really just letting that seed finish maturing and finish drying on the plant. And that's the whole reason why we threw the frost cover down this late. We've gotten everything we need in terms of, it's not like we're expecting the plant to produce more. That's not really it. We're really just trying to get what the plant has produced off the plant. I thought I'd touch on some mistakes that gardeners make when using frost fabric, because I see a lot of gardeners using frost fabric the wrong way. I thought it'd be a good opportunity for you guys to learn something so you can use this in your garden. The first mistake I see gardeners making when using frost fabric is using the wrong type of fabric. It should be marketed as frost cover or frost fabric. Just because it looks like frost fabric doesn't mean it's going to behave or even be frost fabric. There's a lot of times I've seen gardeners say, well, it looks a lot like weed fabric. Could I just use black weed fabric? No, you cannot use black weed fabric. Black weed fabric is oftentimes a woven, polyester, woven polystyrene, woven nylon, something like that, a woven plastic, but it behaves so much differently than the white frost fabric does. It does not hold nearly as much heat. It also will heat up during the day really hot, and it does not behave the same at night. So no, you cannot use weed fabric. Second mistake that I see gardeners making is keeping it on throughout the day. As you can see, first thing in the morning, we're taking this off. You do not want to leave frost fabric on all the time. It's not good for the plants because it traps moisture. As you can see, when I pulled off that fabric, all that water that came off, it would trap all that moisture near your plants, and your plants are going to rot underneath. It's really not great for the plants. You're gonna have mold, you're gonna have mildew, you're gonna have rot, and it's better just to pull it off. It's really not great to keep it on all day. Third mistake that I see gardeners making with weed fabric is not buying large enough size. And I'll admit, we made that mistake this year. Ideally, I really wanna get frost fabric that I can wrap over the entire space. This lime basil was pretty good, but it wasn't great. To adequately protect your plants from frost, you want to wrap the top, but you also want to wrap the sides. You want it to be basically airtight. That's how frost fabric works the most effective way. And because we were using what we had at the shop, we brought it here. This frost kind of caught us off guard because our first frost is typically not until about October 20th. So I thought for sure we had about another week and a half left until we had our first frost, especially with how warm this past week has been. I mean, we had 80s last week. So I didn't see a frost really coming anytime soon. And then as soon as it came on the radar, I saw 41. 41 was probably 5 days out. I thought it's 5 days out, it can change. Well, it changed for the colder. It actually got so much colder. And by then we couldn't get frost fabric ordered in time to get it here and get it put on to make any meaningful difference. So we just basically grabbed what we had and threw it over top. But it's a big mistake to simply, just barely drape your plants. If the cold air gets underneath as well, cold air sinks, warm air rises. If that cold air gets underneath your plants, it's irrelevant. You might as well not even have it at all. I mean, sure, put it on, but it's so much better to have bigger than to have smaller. And the cost difference between bigger and smaller is not that big of a difference. These sheets right here, they are 10 feet wide. They're 10 feet wide by 50 feet long. And ideally, I mean, I would get, for like my lime basil, I should have gotten probably a 20 foot by 50 foot sheet. The difference in cost probably is like $10 or $15. It's not that big of a difference to have nearly twice as much material. It's a really inexpensive option that it's better to spend a little bit more, and you can reuse it time and time and time again. It's just such an indispensable tool in the garden that you might as well go bigger rather than go smaller and sacrifice. Frost fabric is a lot like the reverse of Christmas. When we are protecting our plants, it only takes 5 minutes to put it on, but it certainly takes, I think, 3 times longer to uncover the plants. I don't know why. It takes almost no time at all to cover them. It just seems like it takes forever to uncover them, which is fine. It's well worth the effort to do that. But that leads me to the fourth mistake that gardeners make when putting on frost fabric, and that is cheapening out on frost fabric. Don't do it. Do not do it. It is so inexpensive as it is that cheapening out on it really, honestly, is just going to give you a much thinner, more inferior product. The whole point, I mean, if you're going to protect your plants, protect them with the best, and the cost difference between the worst and the best, it's like not that big of a difference. So this brand here, this is Bootstrap Farmer. So we got this from Bootstrap Farmer. We sell a lot of their products on our website. We are not being paid. You know me, I'm as transparent it gets. Heck, we don't even sell this on our website. We bought this simply to protect our plants in our greenhouse. We brought these here from our greenhouse. That's just what we use. We've been using these for 4 years now, these sheets in our greenhouse, and they are amazing. I mean, you can reuse them, you can reuse them, you can reuse them. They do not rip, they do not tatter. They are nice and thick, so they actually work. And I'm telling you, the difference between Bootstrap Farmer and some of the other brands that are out there that we've used and experienced, it's night and day difference for such a marginal savings. Don't cheapen out on your frost fabric, because if you're gonna protect your plants, as my dad would say, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. The difference between barely doing enough and overdoing it is like for this might have been like a $10 difference between the cheapest and the best. Makes no difference to me. 10 bucks. I mean, just alone right here, these 2 rows of nasturtiums we were able to save, probably about $400 worth of seed. So I'd say worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. I also do hope that you'll get yourself some frost fabric. Like I said, it's probably one of our most important tools that we use nearing the end of the season. And you can use it on anything. You can use it on absolutely anything, from your tomatoes, your peppers. I wish I would have, like I said, we kind of just triaged the seed plots. We'd already gotten a bunch of peppers off of our seed plots for our peppers. We'd already gotten, 3,000 pounds of tomatoes off our seed plots. So it was like, what have we got seed from yet? So we triaged our lime basil, we triaged our nasturtiums, because we hadn't gotten any seed from those yet. So it was like the most important. But yeah, I'm excited for what we have coming off here. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope that you all will try using frost fabric. It is just awesome, awesome stuff. And yeah, if you are interested, like I said, shameless promotion for a non-paid product placement, Bootstrap Farmer, in my opinion, has the best around. But take that for what it's worth. Appreciate it, guys. And I'm gonna get the rest of this stuff cleaned up here, and we're gonna move on with the rest of the farm chores for the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you all learned something new. Let me know in the comments box down below if you've used frost fabric and your thoughts on it. And we'll catch you all on the next episode. So as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider clicking this one. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, and we upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. We also have vegetable seeds, fertilizer, or tools. If you need any of those, consider visiting MIgardener.com. Links will be in the description box below. We've got you covered. And as always, we'll see you all in the garden. Take care. Bye.